this is my web review about Ultron 1. So this episode is at around 2015. So we start with Tony says a suit of armor around the world thing, and he said that while looking at the scepter, and I had Bruce, and I don't understand why they did like that. Clint, he had the cloak, and it may seem random, but if you remember in Age of Ultron, Ultron had that cloak when he was talking to Pietro and Wanda, so that maybe he took it from him, and all these things, and so maybe it draws him to like lose an arm, you know what I mean? And also, so Ultron, they also thought of use his claws arm as well, and that didn't matter, but you know, that's still like Natasha and Hawkeye are the only ones left in that planet, but still, I'm really confused when the Watcher told us a story about how Vision was made. Wanda was in the room, so was the plan to not have Wanda in the story at all, or does it seemed that way? And I don't choose in a couple of episodes that go with the zombie thing, but regardless, it's even though those are not connected, they still told a story of Wanda, and they didn't have her in it. And also, it's because they're afraid of show Wanda losing to Ultron, you know what I mean? And then he'll make it weird, and it's that between stages of Vision and Wanda meeting in Age of Ultron. So here they didn't. It's like they never met, and that's much what they're going for. So that's really confusing, you know what I mean? Not confusing, but more so of why is it like that? Why is it? I understand why they didn't just have Wanda in the episode. They want to see how, if they want to show us how powerful Vision and Ultron are together, then they will just show us Wanda being defeated, you know. I think videos of people talk about this episode, and they always say Vision or Ultron, and I feel like his name, I feel like it should be Ultron, because technically speaking, Vision is Ultron. Is that another version of Ultron? Is that the upgrade version of Ultron? So it would be best to just say Ultron and not Vision, or Vision / Ultron, you know what I mean? So, but it's fine. And then Vision kills Ultron. He kills Tony, then alongside the door and Hulk and everything. So, and then Ultron, he sees Thanos, right, with the stones, and then he just slices him. So then he sees in the Infinity War, he's in they met in Wakanda in 2018, right? And then here it's at New York, and it's interesting because it's how would the stones be, like certain stones have to be in certain places. For example, the time stone, how would he get the time stone? You know what I mean? If that the Thanos already destroyed to be the Doctor Strange, you know what I mean? Bunch of worlds that make no sense, you know what I mean? With all these things, and I'll explain the Soul Stone a little bit later, but like I said, Ultron, he releases a bunch of nukes, and then which does a bunch of damage, and then pretty much wipes out most of the planet. And then with the Ultron having the space stone, you know, you can see like the universe and all these things, and then you see him destroy a bunch of planets and all these things, and you see the Guardians of the Galaxy like characters being in Soviet, right, where they are fighting that octopus thing. And you see Gamora, and that's actually interesting. That is the first time you get to look at Gamora in this show. However, like I said with the Soul Stone, how did Thanos get the Soul Stone? That he pushed Gamora and whatnot? How did it makes no sense how he was able to, you know what I mean? And at first I was thinking about why are they back in the Soviet? We're trying to do that mission to that nebula, but then I realized that maybe they should just go back to just Ultron, some robots will be destroying everything, so it would make sense for the Guardians to just rush back and try to save everyone, and then Wordiness. He didn't even hear Sun. He didn't hear Drax or Gamora Star-Lord speak, you know what I mean? So there's really nothing there with them talking, and you didn't hear them talk or anything like that. So as I said, like with the Soul Stone, it makes no sense why Gamora particularly would be there, you know what I mean? Not keep in mind that in the first and second Guardians, that's even we see take place within 2014 back to back, you know, so. And then we see the Ultron robots destroy the Edo's planet, and then you have to realize Mantis was there too, you know what I mean? Because technically speaking, they was the Mantis we had usually met the Guardians or not, you know what I mean? It feels like she was in, it feels like she was an Eco's planet, just maybe they haven't met the Guardians yet or anything like that, or maybe they did and then they met. It's confusing, you know what I mean? There's more details that I didn't know about how all this is, how this show is, and even though this episode is definitely different than the others, it still follows that. Is that there's always this thing with this show where they don't care about the rules or anything like that, or how things are in the MCU. Maybe just like the MCU timeline is what we understand the most, you know what I mean? And then he destroys Xandon, and he defeats Captain Marvel and all these things. And then Ultron has a cape. I'm like, that was a little bit like nonsense, you know what I mean? But it also reminded me of when in like the certain beginning of the video where Ultron had the cloak when he was starting to feature on Mother in the film, in that church. But it makes sense for him to have that red cape, and I think he had like a cloak in the comic books, something like he had like a blanket of some sort in comic books at the end. So pretty sure that red cloak thing was an Easter egg for like the comic, one of the comic books of Ultron. So yeah, just throwing that out there. And then Ultron, they can heal the Vulture, and then back on Earth we see that Black Widow sees the red Guardian's shield, and then also they try to want to find out, she wants to find out how to beat Ultron, and then look up Solomon, the dude who was wood for Hydra and Wood Soldier program thing. And if you remember in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Black Widow and Steve, they already met like him in different forms, you know what I mean, in New Jersey. So when these Marvel characters such as Black Widow, they're intelligent, we know they're intelligent, so why didn't she just immediately remember? Why did they have to look up all these things, go look through the Russian files, and why don't you just instantly remember that literally 1 year ago in this timeline where it was supporting, she spoke with Solo, you know what I mean? She was just immediately like, did she really need to look up the name to figure out like if she already literally met him? And she literally said that in the episode she met a copy of him before, you know what I mean? So it makes no sense that the minute Black Widow sound dumb, and you know that we all know that she's really intelligent and all these things, and just makes the show really the writing's so off, all this stuff, you know what I mean? And then Clint dies, and he doesn't want to fight anymore, and I can't get it, you know what I mean? And but we don't see him with his family, so we don't get that type of impact, the type of, I can't like felt nothing for him. But I understand that after Age of Ultron, maybe it was with his family, then Ultron probably killed his family, so maybe that would make sense. But if they showed us that, maybe I would have felt something for Hawkeye. And then we see the Vulture fights Ultron, and then all these things happen with him, and then the fact that we saw like a different perspective of this what if thing where we see the Watcher being in trouble and almost losing his life to Ultron, and in Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't there more than one Watcher, so we were all there, you know what I mean? And also the fact that he decided to go with meet Doctor Strange from 2 episodes back, where Doctor Strange lost, so he said like the mission thing. Yeah, so that's really interesting seeing how things will go later on in the multiverse. And then it's showing us this episode is called Where Ultron won, and honestly I feel like Ultron technically already won right from the start, when the fact that Tony in this episode and in Age of Ultron, if the fact that Tony wanted to build Ultron in the first place shows that Ultron has already won even before all this started, because Ultron was actually the purpose of Ultron is because the Avengers wanted to retire and win or lose, whether he's on good side, bad side, Ultron will win either way. You know what I mean? Like Ultron it shows that this episode shows that Ultron understands and has the power to do so much, and he defeated the bad guys with all this, you know what I mean? He also defeated heroes too, but you have to understand if he defeated everyone, you know what I mean? According to this episode where it feels like it's just Clint and Natasha, is that he technically defeated most of the MCU villains, I mean? So in a way he technically won, and then the Avengers definitely lost, you know what I mean? And this episode is like interesting because it shows the potential of the fact that they made Ultron really violent, creepy, and indestructible and all these things, especially that Vision was attached to him, and regardless if he has the Infinity Stones or not, maybe the space and reality stone and time stone probably helped him with understanding the multiverse a little bit more, but the universe and the multiverse a little bit more. Maybe the fact that he even with this Operatic Stones, this episode shows that the film Age of Ultron had potential to make Ultron really creepy and really brutal and violent. I mean, and he felt like that in just a little bit in the Age of Ultron film, but I feel like in the film Age of Ultron, I feel like there was kind of like not 100%, but like wasted potential of showing how brutal Ultron is. If you see like the Avengers Assemble cartoons where Ultron was like with the Infinity Stones, you saw the knowledge of him having the Infinity Stones. You can definitely see that he was like really powerful and all these things. So in a way, like Marvel knows how to make. Marvel does have the capability to make Ultron really creepy without the Infinity Stones. So also, it's just something for you to think about. This episode is different from the other five, so I did like that. I did enjoy that. I actually enjoyed this episode a little bit more because it said how it breaks out that formula, you know what I mean? Although it's kind of like you see like this episode, it feels like you see the aftermath of a wife episode, and it just continues and expands, and I feel like that's what made it enjoyable. It's kind of like I felt like it kind of like we skipped through the what if portion of the episode, and we defeat the Avengers, and then it's like we see like more like we get more out. We see like, and even though like this is like what I said, I understand it. It feels like I'm nitpicking all these things with all these flaws, which of all things, but overall this episode was pretty like it's a step up, you know. It's pretty good. I actually enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the next episode, so see what happens, and I feel like maybe next episode is when he meets up with that party door where the timeline will be back, you know what I mean? And then he will destroy everyone there except door, but yeah, alright. Let me know what I think. I have my Age of Ultron review here if you want to check that out. It's another web episode where I review door partying and here's playlist of the other web reviews I've done, and I'll see you guys soon. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see all of you next week with a new whatever review. Bye.